The streets and boulevards of Budapest are lined with some gorgeous old buildings, but behind their large doors there's an interesting world of courtyards where back in the days the upper class and the lower class have lived in harmony. And these buildings not only shaped the way Budapest looks today, but it also shaped its history. And today you can also visit and experience some of these courtyards. So today, let's learn about them and check out some of them. Let's go on today's journey. Let's go.
When you look at Budapest from the top, you'll notice the many square-shaped buildings with a hole in the middle. These are courtyards, and over the course of history, they became an important part of the city's culture. Up until this day, there is a nostalgic fascination among the locals for these buildings, especially for the well-maintained ones. Most of these are residential buildings, and hence they are closed off from the public. However, there are a few places in Budapest where people can get a glimpse behind the doors, and in this video, we'll show you where you can do so too.
Now, when you're exploring the downtown with the Deák Ferenc tér area or the old Jewish district where you can find the great synagogue, right between them here on this road there is a courtyard, which from the outside, if you look at all the old shopping signs, it might not look something that would interest you, but I can definitely tell you, if you go inside, there's a really nice and cozy courtyard with some cafes and other interesting things. Let's go and explore it over here. This here is the Röser Udvar, and it's right next to the busy streets here in the downtown, but as you can see, this courtyard is very peaceful. You can find a cozy cafe here and another cafe right over there, and there are also some other stores. I can also highly recommend the souvenir shop here, which sells some designer goods. If you want something special and unique, try and look at what they are offering. One other thing that is really important is that this place is not open on Sundays. Any other day you can come here and visit it, but on Sundays it will be closed off, unfortunately. This here is the Váci Utca shopping street. Now the name suggests there are a ton of shops over here, so if you want to buy some clothes or any other goods, then maybe you can visit it. However, you will also see there are lots of cafes and restaurants. I would advise to skip on those. However, you should definitely visit the area for the facades. There are some gorgeous buildings here in this street as well. And there are some courtyards. And we're gonna try to find those as well. Let's go. This particular courtyard brings back a lot of memories from old Budapest when we still used to have cobblestone roads that were yellow, just like the floor that we have here. The cobblestones themselves were a little bit different, but the shade of yellow was the same, and it just is a nice little memory that comes back of the old times when I was running around in the old Budapest streets. In most of these courtyards, you will see these hanging corridors, and the Hungarian word is gong. And if you like these kind of sceneries and want to see more, then I can highly recommend an Instagram page called Gong Végek. We will leave a link in the description. They post a lot of pictures of such courtyards and houses. So if you want to see more, then maybe check them out. I really enjoy the work that they do.
As you explore these courtyards and observe the narrow corridors, you may be wondering what life may have been like behind those windows and why these buildings look the way they do. During the second half of the 19th century, Budapest was going through a major development. Many of the popular attractions you can see today were built during this era. This includes places like the Parliament Building, the Fisherman's Bastion, the St. Stephen's Basilica, the Hero Square, or the Millennium Subway Line. Because of these massive constructions, the population of the city rapidly increased as more workers arrived, and the old single-story buildings could not sustain this growth. There was a need to provide living space for both the growing middle class and the increasing working lower class. And since the city could not grow quickly outwards, the only way was upwards. And so, the buildings that dominate the inner city of Budapest have been born.
This is a miniature replica of what we call as bérház in Hungarian, which translates as rental apartment building, and it's the word we typically use for old buildings with courtyards. And yes, I did make this all by myself. Originally, the front of these buildings were lined with shops and cafes to make use of the street-level real estate, and on the rest of the floors here at the front is where the wealthier families lived. Behind the doors of the building, you had the courtyards, where the residents were interacting with each other, their clothes were hung dry, their kids were playing, and the families socialized. But in spite of this sense of community, there were some different ways how the wealthier people and the working class were sort of separated. At the front of the building, there used to be a larger and wider staircase to reach the upper floors, but at the back, the staircase was narrower and smaller. The front was used by the wealthy living there, and the back was used mostly by lower class and people like maids or postmen. If we look at the size of the apartments, we can also see that people living in the front had a much larger living space, with separate bedrooms, living rooms, and a bathroom, while the people in the back had smaller apartments, often having only one room, and sometimes the bath was also shared with other residents. The wealthier families in the front also had access to more sunlight, making their apartments nicer and more appealing, while families in the narrow courtyards had access to less natural light, making their spaces darker. Now you might be wondering that if the people building these structures already cared so little for people's living spaces and their amount of sunlight, why not just use all the space for apartments? Why keep an empty courtyard in the middle? The answer to that is cost. Building more walls, rooms, and infrastructure would significantly increase the cost of material and labor, but they simply couldn't squeeze in the number of apartments needed to make up for the increase. And the birth of these narrow hanging corridors was also due to cost efficiency. You would need more bricks and mortar to build wide, closed-off corridors, so instead they have built these hanging corridors instead. While some of these characteristics of these buildings may sound harsh, it provided an affordable housing option which answered the growing needs of the middle class and the lower class. And it also created a shared space where families have formed tight communities that also shaped the history of Budapest. Now, before we continue with the courtyards, if you enjoyed this video and you want to support our channel, then hitting the like button is one way to do it, or leave a comment below of some of your favorite spots here in Budapest. And if you want to see more awesome content that we make, then definitely subscribe to the channel, or if you want to go further and support us even more, then go and check out our merch. We'll leave a link in the description. However, you can also support us with a donation through the thanks button, or by clicking the join button. You can become a regular supporter and also become a member of some super awesome people, like they are over here. Thank you so much for your support, guys and ladies. Now, let's get back to discovering more courtyards here in Budapest.
Back in the Váci Utca shopping street, there is one more courtyard you can access. And the reason why you may be interested to find this one is because there is an excellent shop for Hungarian folk art and folk items, in case you are looking for some non-mass-produced gift or souvenir you wish to purchase.
And right now we are close to Ferenciek tere, which you would visit if you want to check out the Röser Udvar hotel building, which looks amazing, but there's also a really cute hidden little courtyard right next to this busy street over here, which would be interesting for those who are looking for some designer goods, handcrafted goods. Let's go and check it out over here.
The courtyard where Paloma Artspace is located is one of the more imposing ones you can visit today. The old rooms and flats have been converted into shops and workspaces for local artists. If you like to browse handcrafted designer goods, you can do so here, and also you'll be able to interact with the artists behind the products. And in the meantime, you'll be surrounded with a scenic old courtyard of Budapest.
Now this specific courtyard right next to Astoria may not be that fascinating. However, if you come here, you can actually see what I already talked about. The fact that the staircase at the entrance will be more grandiose and bigger for the upper class who were living at the front side of the building. And in the behind part, you will see the staircase is much narrower, much smaller, because that was used to be used by the maids, the postmen, and the lower class living at the backer end of the particular courtyards. However, there's one other reason why I clearly wanted to mention this place, is because if you're looking for high quality paprika spice, you have the spicery Fűszerész over here. Go and check them out if you're looking to spice up your home cooking with some Hungarian quality paprika. Our next little courtyard is also close to Astoria, and it's a coffee shop that's hidden inside. Let's go and visit it.
Fekete is a specialty coffee place where you can get some excellent drinks or quick snacks, but they also serve a long list of brunch menu items until 3 in the afternoon. And during warmer days, you can also enjoy your coffee and food in the peaceful and cozy courtyard.
Right next to the Fekete Café, there's another courtyard, which is a little bit different compared to all the other courtyards we have shown you before. This is the Unger house. You don't see any of those corridors that we have seen in the other places. However, this is one of the most picturesque ones that you can easily get to, enter, and take some glorious shots, especially when the sun is shining. And we're lucky today that we are getting some lovely sunshine. Now this place probably needs no introduction. It is Szimpla Kert, one of my favorite ruin bars here in the middle of the city. And most of the time when people come here, they immediately gravitate towards the end, the courtyard, the garden area, because there's a lot of stuff to look at and it's a really cool part of the building. However, I would suggest to take the stairs right at the entrance, because then you'll end up at a very different place. Here you can see that this was also a building with a courtyard where people used to live. If you look at the walls, you can see the old windows, the old doors, and technically you can enjoy a couple of drinks at the place where people decades ago were technically living. It's not only an interesting way to experience a courtyard, but also to experience what a real apartment may have looked like and how big it was. As you explore the old apartments and rooms, you can see what I was talking about a few minutes ago in this video, which was about how much sunlight some of these apartments get. The room in the front of the building is more lit, there is more sunshine getting in through those windows over there. That's why those properties were the more expensive ones, and the rooms and apartments here in the back get less of that sunshine. They are more darker, and hence these were more appealing and more available to the lower class people back in those times. Egészségünkre. That means cheers to us. If you also want to learn more Hungarian words like this, then perhaps check out our video about Hungarian words and phrases you should know. Again, egészségünkre. Jó napot! Szomszéd! Now, before we show you the last way of how you can experience the courtyard here in Budapest, I just want to tell you that one of the reasons why we're actually making this video is because in the last few months, a lot of you have actually shared some messages, some emails about your experiences, your memories of like grandparents or parents living in such courtyards, in such buildings. And that also brought back a lot of my memories of my great-grandmother who also lived in a place like this. And I remember, you know, the smell of the rooms, of the staircases, and also like how frightened I was at the narrow hanging corridors. You know, looking down, it was frightening to me as a child. But now, I think back of those times with a very happy smile on my face. And if you also have some memories that you would also like to share, then leave them in a comment below. Or what kind of courtyards have you visited here in Budapest, and did we miss any that you feel should be also shared with all of our other viewers? Leave those in the comments below. And now, let's finish this video with the final courtyard experience.
The last place we want to recommend to you is a restaurant called Mazel Tov. Located in the old Jewish district, it's a place that revived an old abandoned house with a courtyard and made it into a vibrant and lively location for Middle Eastern food. They have an excellent selection of mezze, hummus, and flavors from Yemen, Morocco, or Israel. As you sit there and enjoy your food, you may start wondering about what life may have been like within the walls of this old building. It's certainly one of the most delicious ways you can visit an old courtyard of Budapest.
So these were some of the courtyard experiences you can get here in Budapest, and if you want to see more of what you can do here in the city or in Hungary, or just want to learn about Hungarian culture, then definitely hit the subscribe button so you will not miss our future content. Thank you again for watching, and see you guys in those future videos. Bye!